Voting seems like such a practical thing to do, right? I liken it to breathing and eating. It's simply something you need to do. Now, I know there's some pessimists out there who think voting doesn't matter. Well, you're wrong. Voting does matter. It determines where and how you'll live, where you can locate your next business, where you can build a home, resources to keep neighborhoods clean and safe, how much money you'll make, how much you'll pay in taxes, how environmental concerns will be addressed, and what services your community servants will prioritize for you and your family. It's about a basic freedom to have representation, a voice, and yes, the ability to make choices. Choices that you didn't always have and now take for granted. William Faulkner is known to have said, "We must be free, not because we claim freedom, but because we practice it." So the challenge for you today is, if not now, when?
Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Keith Lander, and this is the Tabernacle Baptist Church Voter Education Series presents The Essentials of Voting with Rhine, McLin. And I'll be your host, and we will cover the essentials of voting. Thank you, Ryan, for appearing on the show. We'd like to start with just a simple question, is how to register to vote.
Well, how do you can register to vote by going online. You can register to vote by going online, or you can pick up an application, and I think you have one over there.
Mm-hmm.
Raise it up, and we need props. Yes.
Yeah, we got. He'll
Yes.
This is one of the forms. You'll see the form.
And on these forms are just basic information. Now, why do you use this form? You use this form to register to vote. You use this same form for change of address. You use this form for change of name. And when you fill it out, make sure that you fill out each line and put your signature, not your print, your signature has to be on there. The other non-negotiable is that you either put the driver's license number or the last 4 digits of your social security number. You don't have to do both. You just have to do one. And make sure you put the date that you sign it.
Okay, so what's the last day to turn in this registration form?
The last day that you can register to vote is October the 5th.
October the 5th, so don't procrastinate because October the 5th is right around the corner, and this is one of the most important elections probably of our lifetime. Now, as far as who can register to vote, because I hear stuff like people, ex-cons and folks come out of jail and folks got felonies, can't vote, so set the record straight as to who can register to vote.
In Ohio.
In Ohio, absolutely.
In Ohio, if you're not in jail, you're not in prison, and you're out, you can register to vote. Now, you have to register to vote. So prior to your incarceration, even if you were a registered voter at that time, that is no longer in effect. You will have to re-register.
Okay, so even if folks is under home arrest, can they also vote too?
They can go online and register to vote and also request an absentee application.
Yeah, okay, that leads me to my next question. The question of the absentee ballots. Now, explain and walk us through this, because I know we got some senior citizens out there, and you know they may be homebound, and I know they want to vote, and they do it by absentee. So explain that process in getting an absentee ballot.
To get an absentee application in Ohio, this year is a presidential year. The Secretary of State will send each registered voter that voted, and that's the key, that voted a absentee application. Once you receive the application completed. And this is on there, you need to mark general election. The date of the election is November the 3rd, 2020. You don't have to mark whether you're a Democrat or that's only for a primary. For this election, you mark general. Make sure that you sign, not print, sign the application and put the date. Once you do that, you have two options. One, you can mail it back to the Montgomery County Board of Elections, or you can drop it off at the Montgomery County Board of Elections at the drop box. The drop box is safe. The drop box has a camera on it and is guarded 24 hours, and it is emptied every day.
Okay, now the location of the Montgomery County Board of Elections
It's
is
451 West 3rd Street at the lower mezzanine. But the drop box is on 3rd Street. To the 1st Street to your right, you'll see the drop box over by where you would call the freight area.
Okay, so hopefully y'all got that. Y'all write that down. Y'all know where that box is. Just get out your car and walk around. You can't miss it. And so now what's the deadline to get your absentee ballot back in?
Your application.
Application for, yeah, my fault. Mhm.
Okay. We'd like to have the applications in by October the 5th. But not being the case, they can go until the Saturday. Now that's where it gets hairy. The applications by the law can be delivered to the Board of Elections the Saturday before election. However, it is very difficult to get the ballot out to them and back in a timely fashion.
Yeah.
But the law says they have until that Saturday prior to Election Day to return and make a request of an absentee ballot.
Okay, and so once the individuals get that ballot, they fill that ballot out, what if individual, who can take that ballot down and drop it in the box? Can anybody take it down and drop it in the box?
No.
Okay.
Anybody, you can give anybody the voter registration form to return. You can give anybody the absentee application to return. But when it comes to the ballot, the individual or a close family member. So therefore, you can't see the same orange car dropping in 5 and 10 ballots every day.
Right. Okay, because you said there's a camera on that box.
Yeah, I'm making
All
that.
right.
So you don't want to even put it in a position to be challenged. Talking to Tom Roberts with the NAACP, he's the state president. He is working with some groups that we hope to have a hotline number that you can call and say, I need a ride to go drop my ballot off at the drop box.
There you go. So, y'all heard.
And we're also working on getting early bus passes for people to be able to ride the bus to drop off their ballot at the drop box.
Okay.
Because the law is clear, and don't ask me who these relatives are. It says close family members or the individual.
Okay. I hope y'all got that now. This is important stuff. Hopefully y'all share this with somebody, because this is good information and it's accurate information and it's what we need. And so let's talk about early in-person voting. When does that start?
Early in-person voting starts October the 6th at 8 o'clock at the Montgomery County Board of Elections. Now, you got to wear a mask. Got to have a mask on in the county building. I do want everybody to know that this is an election of patience, because you have to stay 6 feet apart. So regardless of when you go, you are more than likely going to have a line. And it starts on October the 6th at 8 o'clock, and it goes till 5.
Okay, so what kind of identification do I need if I go in person early, if I go on election day? What do I need to bring with me?
Well, if you go, either one, your driver's license will work.
Okay.
If you don't have a driver's license, you can use a bill that has your name and address on it. And what we learned, I learned in the primary, that a passport doesn't work.
Okay, so passport don't work. You got to bring a bill with your name on it and address, and either a driver's license.
Yes.
Okay, now the state IDs, is that still equivalent to?
Yes.
Okay, so state ID is good. Okay, so now if a person has some disabilities and can't walk into the polling place, and they drive up, are the poll workers, are they able to come out to the car?
Curbside voting.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so curbside voting, we got you covered there. You don't have to get out the car.
You have somebody come in to let the folks that are in the precinct, or rather, if they're at the county, they will come out. It will be a Democrat and a Republican will come out for you to vote.
Okay, so we got that part covered.
Curbside voting.
Right.
Yes.
And so now when a person don't know their polling place, how do they find where they need to go if they done moved into another neighborhood? How do they find out where they need to go to the polls to vote?
They can call the Board of Elections at 937-225-5656, or you can go to iwillvote.com.
Okay, so we shouldn't have no problem finding where you need to go vote.
No.
Now what if people just want to help out and work the polls? If you got some folks out, what do they need to do? They need to contact the Board of Elections and say, hey, I want to work the polls?
Absolutely, and get paid. I call it having a front row seat to seeing democracy at work.
There you go.
Yes, they can call 937-225-5656 and ask for Robin Fekke, F-E-C-K-E, Robin Fekke. She's in charge of helping folks get placed in. Now, and this is important, folks. This is really important. Because if they don't have enough workers for the polls for November the 3rd, the other issue comes in consolidation.
Now, what that mean?
Consolidation means that you're not going to be able to open all your polls. So you're going to have to, with the workers that you have, there will be some precinct consolidation because you don't have enough workers for all your polls.
Oh, okay, and you mentioned that the poll workers get paid.
Yes, the poll workers get paid.
Well, I want to clarify that. You get paid to come work the polls.
And you get training, and you get paid for your training.
There you go. So that's a win-win situation. You're watching democracy work. You're getting paid to watch democracy work. And hopefully you'll take that up and do your patriotic duty and work the polls. Now,
and election day is on November the 3rd, and the polls open at 6:30.
6:30.
6:30 in the morning, and then they close at 7:30 in the evening.
So you got all day to get to the polls. No excuses. Just get to the polls. So now we oftentimes, this is a presidential election, and sometimes the other down ballot things get lost in the shuffle. And so we got some other high-profile races. And really, folks, you need to vote the whole ballot, all from the top to the bottom.
to the bottom. And because you're not going to call the president to remove your the trash. You're not going to call the president to get your street paved. You're not going to call the president about your water. So you need to vote for those folks that you believe are going to be in your best interest. And especially, our people need to be more concerned about these judicial races. The judicial races. We have an opportunity in our community. We were able to elect Melody Stewart to the state Supreme Court. We have an opportunity now with 2 more. And know their names, folks, because for the state Supreme Court judge races, there is no letter by their name, whether they are a D or an R. You must know their names or who is whom.
Absolutely, and I know the NAACP, they put out publications with who's running against who, and I know the League of Women's Voters, they do the same thing. So the information is out there, folks. You can seek it. Make sure you know who these people are and what seat they're running for, because that's vitally important.
I mean, right now we got congressional seats up, we got state rep seats up, there's state senate seats up, there's county all the county seats are up.
That's right. So people, like I said before, this is extremely important, and you need to do what you have to do to get to the polls, and take somebody with you if you can. One of the other things I wanted to bring up was the efforts with the Postal Service. And I'm not going to talk about all the other shenanigans going on with the Postal Service, but if people are having some issues or about their ballot dropping in a mailbox, whether it's going to get there on time, is there a tracking mechanism?
Yes, there is a tracking mechanism that lets you know if the Board of Elections has received your ballot. They know when to send it out, and it's logged in when it is received.
Okay, so they got a tracking mechanism. If you drop it in the box, you can track it, and so we got that covered. The other thing is, if individual go to the polls and the poll worker can't find their name on the roll for whatever reason, does that person just walk out, or does that person say, "Hey, I hear this thing called a provisional ballot"? Explain that to folks how that works.
The provisional ballot is used when, say they see your name, but you didn't bring the ID. A provisional ballot to be used.
You get a provisional ballot. Yeah, so you just don't walk out.
You don't walk out.
Okay.
You come and they don't seem to have your name. And they check at other precincts and they find out you belong somewhere else. You cannot do a provisional at that ballot, at that precinct, and it be counted. You have to go to your specific precinct.
Okay.
But then if there comes a time, and we always dealing with human error at times, that you just voted here in March. You know this is generally where, well, you didn't vote in March because we went all absentee. But prior to that, the election in November, last November, this is where you voted. They can't seem to find your records. Request a provisional.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you folks, it is very, very important. You sign your name. You have to sign your name, because the last thing you want is your vote being contested because of the signature on your ballot versus the signature on your voter registration.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
And they take into account that I was 21 when I first signed it, and that I'm more than that now.
Yeah.
And when I signed it. So they take in consideration for that. But so many times, people, even on petitions, people's signatures get disqualified because they did not sign their name.
Okay, that's a good point. Now, let's go back to the application for the ballot. Now, I know the one I'm looking at says Montgomery County Board of Elections and has an address, but I was also aware that another group is sending out applications. Is those?
They're for Montgomery.
Valid?
They have Montgomery County, yes.
Okay. So if you get the application, send that application back in. It's valid.
To 451 West 3rd
Right.
Street.
Okay.
Montgomery County Board of Elections. If you get something that does not have Montgomery County Board of Elections, 451 West 3rd Street, then you need to call the Board of Elections and let them know.
Okay. And get that number one more time.
937-225-5656.
There you go. Okay. So once people pull up at that poll, I know they're going to encounter a poll worker outside. All right.
No.
They don't. I mean, well, sometimes they do.
Well, those workers are
Those are from the
provided by
By the party.
by candidates.
Okay, those workers
Or
are
the
provided by
party.
the candidates. Okay, let's be clear. The folks outside is provided.
So they
by
got
the
to be
candidates.
100 feet.
100 feet. If they're not 100 feet, they're in violation of law.
Correct.
Now, it shouldn't be anybody else in there impeding you from going into that poll.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure, you know what I mean? Because sometimes folks hang around the polls that shouldn't be there. So we wanna make
And
sure-
I
yeah.
tell you, right during this election, there is a high antenna up for voter protection. So all these precincts are going to be covered by folks with legal and voter knowledge to make sure that nobody is turned away and that everybody gets to vote.
Right, okay. So now I voted for a long time, and you go into the poll and you see the people at the desk, they're finding your name, but then I always notice there's a person standing off to the side. I think, is that the precinct captain, or what role does that person play?
That's generally the, we call them, I can't keep up, everybody changes names, but that would be the judge or the person that is over that precinct.
Okay.
They're generally on the side, looking around, make
Right.
sure everybody doing what they supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody have any problems, they
That's
can
the
ask that
person they
to go
would,
to.
that's the person they would go to.
Okay. That's good. I want to make sure you get in there and you vote, and if you got
And-
some
and
problems, you know who to talk to.
And let me, this is very important. You go to vote. You vote for Rhine McLin and you didn't want to vote for her. You can go, you have 3 times to get a corrected ballot.
Okay.
Now, you have 3 times when you're in person voting. I can't answer this now, but this was a problem that we had in the primary. That you made a mistake on the ballot. So you crossed it out and you put your signature. And according to this Secretary of State, that was unacceptable because you have 3 times to get the corrected ballot,
Okay.
to request another. But my argument was, I'm at home. What is the hotline I call for somebody to bring me another ballot?
Right.
I made a mistake.
Uh-huh.
Well, they didn't answer that. So I just want to let you know that even at home, even if you get to choose to do your ballot at home and you make a mistake, call the Board of Elections, 937-225-5656, and request another ballot.
There you go. So we got that covered. Let's see. I think I've covered most of the things that need to be covered. Did I forget anything? Ryan, I might have forgot 1 or 2 things, but I think the information that we shared earlier, I think that will definitely be helpful to the people. We need all hands on deck.
Yes.
All hands, yeah.
You know, one of the things I really can't overemphasize is that, and I'm going to just say it, Black people, we have had to take this moment and change it to a movement. Black lives do matter. And if the vote was not important, why, since Reconstruction, have they done everything they can to suppress the vote? During Reconstruction, we had over 1,500 black elected officials, even 2 U.S. senators from Mississippi. And after that, that's when we got into the Jim Crow. That's when we got into the black codes. That's when they got into everything to keep us from voting. Everybody knows how powerful our vote is but us. Let's wake up, be woke, and vote. Thank you.
No, thank you, Ryan. That people need to hear that, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I can't improve that. And you said what need to be said. Get to the polls. You can vote early. You can vote absentee. Get the application in. We can't stress that enough. And if you find, I know this church here will be doing voter registration. There's some other churches. Get there. I mean, drive-through registration. You just fill the card out and give it to somebody and keep moving. Get there. This is important, folks. I mean, your life do depend on it. I'm just go ahead and say that. Your life depends on this here.
And you know, I want to add another thing here. And another thing is that if you have kids off at college, send them absentee applications to complete. If you have friends working overseas, Unicava, make sure they vote. We cannot afford to leave any vote on the table. We must exercise our rights. We need to do this not only for ourselves, but for the folks like John Lewis, who gave their life and told us to get in good trouble and necessary trouble. We must vote.
Amen. Amen on that one. So I'm going to close. I always say it's never ending. There's always a continuation. And until next time, may God bless you and your family.